Welcome to our deep dive. We're taking a look at Steve Jobs, going beyond the iPhones and the Macs and really trying to figure out what made him tick. And we've got some great sources for this one, like Walter Isaacson's biography, Steve Jobs. It's super comprehensive.
Oh, yeah. Isaacson's book is a must-read for sure. And we're also digging into Innovation Leaders. It's by Jean-Philippe Deschamps. And there's this really insightful Harvard Business Review article on leadership and innovation. We'll try to tie all those together.
Sounds good to me. It's interesting how Jobs still fascinates people, even now. I mean, this is a guy who completely changed the tech world.
For sure, he transformed industries. But I think there's still so much to uncover about him, like what drove him, his successes, his failures.
Let's get into it then. Part 1, the roots of genius and imperfection. So everyone knows that Jobs was adopted, but it's interesting how his upbringing seems connected to some of his, well, obsessions later on.
Absolutely. Isaacson's biography talks about how Jobs' dad was really big on craftsmanship. Like there's this story about his dad building a fence and telling a young Steve, even the back, the part no one's ever going to see, it's got to be perfect.
Wow. Talk about attention to detail.
Right. And that's classic Jobs. I mean, later on, he was the same way about Apple products. Remember how the inside of a Mac was just as beautifully designed as the outside?
Totally. It's like he took that lesson from the fence and applied it to, like,
But
everything.
exactly. He believed in perfection, even in the smallest details, even if no one else would ever see them. It's about the pursuit of a deeper kind of simplicity.
He actually said something like that, right? Didn't he say it takes a lot of work to make something simple?
He did. It wasn't about being flashy or just getting rid of things. It was about solving really complex problems and then making them feel effortless to use. That's deep simplicity.
And didn't Joni Ive, Apple's design genius, have something to do with that?
Absolutely. They were both obsessed with this idea of deep simplicity.
So how do they actually, put that into practice? Like, give me an example.
Think about the iPod. Remember the click wheel? Seems super simple.
Right. Yeah. Iconic design.
Well, that click wheel,
Mm.
it took like hundreds of prototypes to get the feel exactly right. They were constantly testing, refining, stripping away anything that wasn't absolutely necessary.
I never would have thought so much work went into something so, well, simple.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole point. And it wasn't just the click wheel, it was everything from the product design to even the packaging.
Wow. Okay, so we've got this foundation of craftsmanship and deep simplicity. Now let's go back to the early days of Apple, back when it was just Jobs and Wozniak. Talk about a legendary duo.
Those two were like night and day. Wozniak, he was the engineering genius, the tech whiz, built the Apple I computer in his garage. Can you believe that?
Incredible. So Wozniak was the brains and Jobs was what? The heart, the vision.
That's the thing. It's tempting to say that, but it's way more nuanced than that. I mean, Wozniak definitely had a vision too, but Jobs, he just had this drive to share that vision with the world.
Hmm.
He understood that making tech cool and accessible was just as important as the tech itself.
Didn't he get that from Sony? I remember reading somewhere that Jobs was a huge fan of their approach to electronics.
Oh, he was blown away by Sony.
Mm.
Loved how they designed their products, how they felt in your hand, how easy they were to use.
And the Walkman, right? Didn't that make a big impression on him?
Huge. At the time, portable cassette players were these clunky things. Then Sony comes out with the Walkman, and it's like sleek, elegant,
Yeah.
so easy to use. And Jobs, he was like, that's what I want to do with computers.
It's crazy to think about him looking at a Walkman and seeing, like, the future of tech.
He had this uncanny ability to just like sense what people wanted, sometimes even before they knew it themselves.
I mean, that drive to change the world, it definitely fueled Jobs, but it also kind of fueled some, let's just say, unique management decisions.
That's a good way to put it.
Which brings us to part 2, triumphs, tantrums, and a touch of tyranny.
Jobs was really demanding, like really pushed people to their limits. Isaacson talks about this aura around Jobs, something people called his reality distortion field.
Reality distortion field. Okay, that sounds a little intense. What does that actually look like in action?
It's like he could bend reality to his will. The best example is probably the development of the Macintosh. Jobs was set on having a graphical user interface, which
Right.
was totally unheard of at the time.
Right, completely different from the text-based interfaces everyone was used to.
Totally. And he tells his team, we're going to create a computer that's as easy to use as a toaster.
A toaster. Okay, I like toast as much as the next person, but come on, that's a bold statement.
It was. I mean, the technology was barely there. It seemed impossible. But his team, they made it happen.
That's the reality distortion field in action.
Exactly. That unwavering belief that anything was possible, even when it seemed impossible. I mean, it worked, but it also meant that working for him could be, well,
Stressful. A little bit chaotic, maybe.
you could say that. He was known for having some pretty epic tantrums, and he could be really critical, but he also created this culture of excellence, like he wouldn't accept anything less. Remember that famous line, "It's better to be a pirate than join the Navy"?
Oh, yeah, classic Jobs, total pirate mentality.
Right. He wanted people to challenge the rules, to innovate, to create something truly groundbreaking.
And that rebellious streak, it worked for him for a while, but it also led to some pretty big conflicts, like with John Scully, the Pepsi guy Jobs, convinced to join Apple.
Oh, yeah, Scully. That didn't exactly end well. Didn't Jobs recruit him with that line, "Do you want to sell sugared water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world?"
That's the one. I mean, you've got to admit, the man had a way with words.
He did, but that relationship, it went south pretty quickly. They clashed constantly.
And then Jobs ends up getting forced out of his own company, which is, well, kind of ironic.
Definitely a major turning point. Imagine building something from the ground up, pouring your heart and soul into it, and then being shown the door.
I can't even imagine. But this period, this is when he started NXT, right?
Exactly. Next, was Jobs' way of proving himself all over again. He was determined to show the world, and maybe even himself, that he still had it.
It was a pretty ambitious project, right? Didn't they pour everything into making this super advanced computer?
They did. The NXT computer was way ahead of its time. It was beautifully designed, incredibly powerful, but it's also really expensive, like way too expensive for most people.
And to make things worse, didn't Bill Gates and Microsoft refuse to develop software for it?
Yeah, that was a huge blow. Jobs and Gates, they had a legendary rivalry, and Microsoft's refusal to support NXT, it hurt. I mean, it showed how important it is to have a market for your product, no matter how technically brilliant it might be.
It seems like Jobs learned some tough lessons at NXT, lessons that he brought with him when he eventually returned to Apple.
He did. That period of reflection, of setbacks, of learning to adapt, it was crucial. He wouldn't have been the same without it.
So Jobs comes back to Apple, a company in trouble, and now he's the one who has to fix it. Talk about a comeback story.
It's amazing how he turned things around. Jobs was laser focused. He knew Apple couldn't be everything to everyone, so he made some big changes. Like, remember when he shut down those Mac clones? That was a really big deal.
That was huge. I mean, Apple was letting other companies use their operating system, and those companies were selling computers for way less than Apple. It seemed like Jobs was, I don't know, throwing away money.
Right, but Jobs, he hated those clones. He thought they were cheap, watered-down versions of what a Mac should be. He thought they were hurting Apple's brand. He was all about controlling the entire experience, the hardware, the software, everything.
So he was willing to give up on some easy money to protect his vision for Apple?
Basically, he was betting that people would pay more for a truly great product, a product where every detail was just right. And you know what? He was right. Again.
He was right a lot. Like with the iPod. The iPod wasn't just a gadget. It was like this whole cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely. It was a total game changer. Jobs took this simple idea, a portable music player, and turned it into something much, much bigger.
He created this whole ecosystem, right? The iPod, iTunes, the iTunes Store. Suddenly, you could buy music legally online for a reasonable price, and it all just worked together seamlessly.
And it was revolutionary. People forget how big of a deal that was. Back then, the music industry was freaking out about piracy, about Napster.
Napster? I haven't thought about Napster in years.
Right. And Jobs convinced those record executives that iTunes was the solution, a way to fight piracy by offering a better alternative.
Didn't he, like, personally meet with all these music industry bigwigs? I read somewhere he even went after individual artists to get them on board.
Oh, yeah, he was a master negotiator. He'd given them special access to Apple, let them see prototypes. He made them feel like partners. He knew how to get what he wanted.
Pretty smart strategy. So he revolutionized computers, he revolutionized how we listen to music, and then he does it again with the iPad. And again, not everyone got it at first.
Just a big iPhone, that's what everyone said.
Exactly. People just didn't see the point. What did Jobs see that everyone else missed?
He saw the future. He knew that computers were going to be about more than just work. He saw the iPad as a tool for creativity, for learning, for experiencing media in a whole new way. He was betting on apps, on touchscreens, and, well, you know the rest.
It's incredible when you think about it, how much Jobs' vision has shaped the way we live, work, and consume media today.
There's no doubt about it. Steve Jobs left his mark on the world. He was a visionary, a genius, a force to be reckoned with. But he was also really demanding, even harsh at times.
Yeah, he definitely had a reputation. So the big question is, could he have achieved all that he did without those rough edges?
It's the question everyone asks, right? Was the genius inseparable from, well, everything else? It's something I think about a lot.
We've talked about his upbringing, his successes, his failures, that incredible second act at Apple. It's a fascinating story.
It really is. Jobs' legacy, it's full of contradictions. And I think that's why people are still so fascinated by him, even all these years later.
I think you're right. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.